Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In the recent update, iRO has implemented the Maestro and Wanderer's second skill improvement. During this improvement, the most prominent change is the rework of the skill of Reverberation. Currently, Reverberation has become skill of 4 magic damage. It has a range of 5 times 5. And the property of this magic skill depends on the property of your arrow. Okay, now let's see how does it work. So I find that there is a Chong, so let's see. You can see there is a very wonderful visual effect. And at the same time, we know that the Maestro has a lot of self-buff skills. For example, the improved concentration, which brings dexterity and agility in state point. And there is another useful skill that is Siren's Voice. It will protect the Maestro himself from the damage of outside environments. And there is another skill that we are very familiar with, that is Magic Strings. It reduces the cast delay by 30%. And this is a very powerful skill because its effect is the same as a key D01 card. And at the same time, we know that the Freak Song brings a lot of HP boost. And the Echo Song brings a lot of DEF. So in the following video, I will show you about the build and the playstyle of a Maestro. And let's have a look together. So now let's move to the test area. Okay, now we have moved to the test region. For today's situation, the most useful set for a Maestro is the Ceiling set. Now I'm using Ceiling's Ribbon, and Ceiling's Brooch type K, and Ceiling's Brooch, and the Ceiling's Dress. So this set gives a lot of high damage. We all know that Reverberation has a fixed cast time of 0.5 seconds, and this can be eliminated by the ancient hero weapon, that is the trumpet shell. You can see it can reduce the fixed cast time by 0.5 seconds. And for the MDF bypass, what I'm using is the Purified Ignite Shield and the Reverberation Shadow Weapon and the Maestro Shadow Shield combo. And for the cast delay, we know that the Ceiling's Dress can reduce cast delay by 15, and the Temporal INT Mantle can reduce the cast delay by 15, and the Purified Ignite Shield can reduce the cast delay by 5. We all know that Maestro has a skill, Magic String, which reduces cast delay by 30. Then it should be enough, and we can also have a Reload Shadow Armor to reduce cast delay by further 3%. Now let's have a look on its property issue. What I'm using now is a neutral property arrow. So I place the Reverberation on a fire property egg. So the damage is about, is 700,000. If I change the arrow to a water property arrow and recast the Reverberation on the egg, we say now the damage is 1.6 million. That is, as we talked above, the property of this magic depends on the property of your arrow. Some of you may have a question whether we can use converter to change the arrow of the magic. The answer is yes. So now we switch back to the neutral property arrow, and now we use the elemental converter of water. After we use the converter and recast the Reverberation on the egg, we say, okay, the damage is still as the water property one. But this has a potential problem. After I use the converter, I change to a different property arrow. The property won't change anymore. For example, let's change to a silver arrow, which is holy property. And we can say the damage is still water property. Only when we took off the weapon and retake the weapon again, we can change the arrow to holy property. Therefore, simply change the property arrow is the most convenient way to change the property of this skill, as long as you have the arrow with desired property. Now let's have a look on its performance. we can say that this gear has a good frequency as well as a good damage. Some of you may have a question, if we don't have Purified Night Shield, how can we maximize our damage? So we can still keep the ceiling set. We can replace the Purified Night Shield with the Feather Shield to increase MATK and further reduce delay. And we need to replace the Ceiling Brooch with the PDM, which bypass MDF. This set has a potential problem. That is, you may have to use the double Almighty Shadow accessories to increase your state point to reach the instant cast, which is the 530. But if you have an excess state point, you can replace one Almighty with the Reverberation Shadow Pendant. Then this is a set give you the highest damage. If it is hard for you to reach the 530, there is another option. That is, we can use the Bloody Dress instead, as well as the Ceiling Brooch. Then it is much easier for us to get high state point, and at this time we can use the Reverberation Shadow Pendant and earrings to further increase the damage. According to my test, the set of Bloody Dress, Ceiling Brooch, and the Reverberation accessories has almost the same damage with the Ceiling Dress, Type K Brooch, and Almighty Shadow accessories. I put the test result in the caption. And this is the end of this video. Thanks for watching.